Hey guys, it's Amber. I know it's been quite some time since I've been on here. I think like 3 months since I put up the last video, and so I felt like I owed y'all an explanation as to where we're at in the process, given how everything was kind of left in the last video. So, oh geez. So there's been a lot that's gone on in the last couple of months, and yet nothing at all in some respects. So, yeah, so we have the packet from the genetic testing company, which I think I mentioned in the last video, and we were supposed to get the swab stuff done and sent in. We still have not done that in 3 months. Why, you ask? Well, because we know that as soon as they get those swabs from us, they're going to send us a bill and start the testing process. Which the testing process is great, but the bill is not. So we wanted to hold off on sending in our swab samples until we knew we were closer to finishing the house and closer to having it listed and actually sold, so that way we didn't have a huge bill that we had to figure out a way to pay for, and then it would all kind of be for nothing. So that's why we have held off as long as we have. We have been working a lot on the house remodel, trying to get it finished, and there have been a lot of little setbacks just as far as time goes with the weather, because we didn't have a fall this year. It's November, what day is today? November 9th, 8th, and yeah, and something like that. I don't even know. And it's snowing. Like, we had a little bit of snow on the ground this morning already. So we've had 0 fall this year. I think we've had a grand total of like 10 days that were nice and pleasant, between the 90+ degree temperatures and the now like 40s and below. So yeah, so that's why a lot of our exterior projects were kind of pushed off. We had a lot of rain, a lot of really cold days, and it just took a lot longer for everything to get done than what we projected it would. So that sucks. But thankfully, we have the majority of those projects done now. There's literally just a couple of things that we have to do on the outside, and then we'll be finished. And then we still have lots of odds and ends things to do on the inside of the house. And then, yeah, and then we'll be able to have it listed. So originally, when we started all of this process, I was thinking June was our goal. Well, quickly realized we weren't going to make the June deadline. So then we pushed it back, thinking, okay, surely about September. Well, then September came, and September went, and then we said, okay, well, you know, maybe by the end of October, kind of beginning of November. And as I'm telling you now, still not done. So at this point, I'm going to hold off on making any projections on when this house will be finished and we can actually start IVF. Because every time I set a deadline, inevitably something happens. So now my husband is saying something about how he may not want to list at all until after the first of the year now, because he doesn't think we'll have a good market over the holidays, which I understand that logic, but I'm a little frustrated by that because I feel like we have been waiting so long, and I'm just ready to be done. I'm ready to sell the house, start IVF, and just get into our new place and have an idea as to what this next chapter of our life is going to look like, because right now there's just so many variables, so many things up in the air, and it's been like this for so long that it's just kind of becoming a little frustrating for me, quite honestly. So unfortunately, I don't have any real advancements in the IVF department to give, other than I did have a saline sonogram. I opened up my patient portal through CNY and found that the doctor was wanting me to get a saline sonogram performed prior to starting IVF, and wanted another sperm sample from Jason, that testing done for him. So I was hesitant about the saline sonogram, I'm not gonna lie, even though they did recommend it, because I had that HSG done. That's what started this whole process and made me, it kind of showed us what challenges we had as far as my blocked tubes go, and that IVF was really the only viable option that we had. And that HSG was brutal. It was awful. It was not fun. I know some women say it's not a big deal, and I don't know if their situation's different than mine, but for me, it was a big deal. It hurt. It was not fun. They say you'll have some mild cramping, and it felt like some of the worst period cramps I'd had in my life. I was very much glued to my heating pad after I got home from the HSG, and I did take the prescription strength ibuprofen ahead of time and still had the cramping, so just gonna throw that out there. I hate to see what it would have been like if I didn't take that ibuprofen ahead of time though. So here's the tip: if you're getting an HSG or saline sonogram or anything like that done, take an ibuprofen ahead of time. Like, they told me like 800 milligram ibuprofen. So take that, or something similar as much as you can, because yeah, it definitely caused some cramping. But even prior to them putting the fluid in, my actual cervix was just not cooperating. They had a heck of a time getting it into place. That alone was painful, and then when they were prodding around inside my uterus, once they finally got in there, that didn't feel any better. So just FYI. So anyhow, back to the saline sonogram. So I was kind of a little bit traumatized from that HSG and was scared to death about doing the saline sonogram because it was so painful before, and I thought it would be the same way. And I just didn't really understand how it was necessary or would be helpful. So I did a little bit of research, and then I talked to my gynecologist about it, and she's went through IVF herself, so that's really helpful for me to talk to her about this stuff, because she knows firsthand. She's been through a lot of this stuff, and her reason for going through IVF was she had blocked tubes as well, so it's kind of perfect. But anyways, so yeah, so she kind of convinced me that it was a good idea, and why it was a good idea. And so I just had her perform it, and it was painful. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't fun, but it was not as awful of an experience as I had with the HSG. One, it was much quicker once I actually started. Once I got into my cervix and got it was like done and over in like a minute. Now the cramping lasted quite a while afterwards. Again, the heating pad was my best friend that night, but it wasn't as severe as it was with the HSG. So that was helpful. But I was worried what they would find when they got in there, and thankfully there are no issues with my uterus. My doctor said it's like baby ready, so that makes me feel good. Finally, we got a break on something, got some good news, so that's nice. And then, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with things. Jason still has not scheduled his semen analysis yet, but hopefully I can coerce him to do that within the next few weeks. So that's kind of the extent of the progress that we've made in the last couple of months towards IVF, as far as actual medical stuff. The house, we're making lots of progress in, and it feels like now it's actually kind of coming downhill and picking up speed a little bit, so that's great there. I will probably post a video here within the next couple of weeks of our progress and give you guys a little sneak peek at what we have been doing, and so that way you can see all the hard work that we've put in. It'll give us a chance to kind of show it off. But something else interesting that has happened is a couple of weeks ago, I was in a car accident. I was driving down the road, going straight, and there was a car coming my opposite direction who had just gotten in the turn lane to cross my lane of traffic and failed to see me apparently and smacked right into the side of my vehicle, thus totaling out my vehicle. It looks really bad. I'm gonna see if I can put a picture of the damage up here. I am wearing this lovely Noir brace that Urgent Care gave me for sprained wrist, and I had a lot of bruising on my wrists, which have finally, those are finally gone away, and I had a lot of tenderness on my chest where my seatbelt was, and then a lot of tenderness in my neck and shoulder and into my back. To the point that when I went in for a massage to try and get the knots broke up several days after the accident, I was in so much pain that like, it felt fine, but then when she just barely pushed on it, it was like, it was intense to say the least. That was the worst massage I've ever had, but the most needed. So yeah, so I've been dealing with that whole saga for the last 2 weeks, and I'm not quite at the end of it yet. So keep me in your thoughts and prayers, because I hate dealing with insurance companies and stuff, and they make me feel like I'm gonna lose my mind. So but anyhow, so that's impacting work and everything else, and so it just feels like my life is kind of very chaotic right now, and I keep waiting for it to slow down and kind of for the dust to settle a little bit, and it hasn't happened yet. It just keeps getting worse. It seems like one more thing and one more thing. But the holidays are coming up, and so again, that's it's kind of, I've talked about this before. I love the holidays. I'm a very, like, what's the word? Festive person. I love decorating for all the holidays, and, and doing all the holiday festivities and things. But, not having a child and going through infertility during Christmas definitely makes it more challenging. Just emotionally, I feel that my patience gets a little thinner, and I just get a little bit crankier and more irritable around the holidays, just because of how child-centered they are, family-centered they are, and it's just kind of another painful reminder that we don't have a baby yet. So which every year it seems to be getting better. Last year was pretty hard though, but we'll see. So in the meantime, I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up. I just wanted to jump on here and make sure y'all have heard something from me. Those of you that do follow me, and I appreciate y'all sticking with me on this journey, and I know it's been kind of anticlimactic to this point, but I promise it will get there eventually. It's just a matter of when. One last thing I want to mention is one of my infertility sisters through Instagram has hooked us up with some of her extra medication. She donated that to us, and so I'm so grateful for that, because she gave us like a Gonal F pen, some Menopur, some syringes and yeah. And so I'm very thankful because last I looked, she saved us like a crazy amount of money, like $700-800 worth of medication that she saved us so far. So I'm very grateful for her. So just shout out to her. My home girl here. But if that's kind of also a cue there. If you're not following me on Instagram, I think that might be a good idea because I do post over there more regularly and more of the kind of day-to-day stuff that I don't make videos about just because I don't feel like many people care enough to watch a 10-minute video about random things. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate y'all that have subscribed to my channel, and those of y'all that have newly subscribed, welcome. I hope I don't disappoint you guys. But anyways, I appreciate y'all for following along on my journey and for the encouragement, like, and love that you guys give to us. It means the world, especially in this waiting period where it kind of feels like everybody else is lapping me. I appreciate the kudos and the rooting for me and for Jason that you guys are doing. It helps tremendously. It really does. So anyhow, I'll get off of here, but I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving and great November, and I will try and catch up with y'all here in a few weeks. Bye guys.